Okay, guys, it's Thor Sandalwood, and today is May 5th, 2021. Happy Cinco de Mayo. And today, by popular request, I'm going to be looking at the United States chart. Yesterday, we were talking about the lunar eclipse that's happening on May 26th. And what I saw when I looked at the United States chart was quite amazing. Like I didn't even realize how much I would be able to see in the United States chart. I use even the outer planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in the chart that we're going to look at today, because we're not going to have any Mahadashas to look at, because the Mahadashas only go for 120 years, the lifespan of a maximum human lifespan in ancient Vedic astrology. So we're going to take a look at that. So this is a very exciting time that we live in. And a lot of people that I've been following, like David Wilcock, according to the briefings that he's getting, the intel is that there could be some form of disclosure coming up in June here. And we're all hoping that we get the disclosure, because really it's going to be brought out that we're not alone in the universe. But it will be shocking for a lot of people when that disclosure comes out. So let me take you guys to my presentation. We're going to look at the US chart today. And first, we're going to do a little disclaimer, guys. It's not meant to replace advice from a qualified financial planner. And why I'm saying that is because we're looking at future events in the United States. So this is my opinion using the astrological data, and this video is for entertainment purposes only. Let's go to another slide, guys. You guys, if you really like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to my channel. And especially if you're brand new to watching my channel and you're interested in astrology and predictions, we've been doing cryptocurrency recently. Now we're doing the United States chart. Also, I do monthly predictions. We have May 2021. And, I'm going to keep that going for June. And then also, if there's important events that happening, I do special videos, YouTube videos for that kind of stuff. And if you're interested in a reading, please check out my website, thorsandalwood.com. And maybe I should do a little jingle. Visit thorsandalwood.com and get your reading. That would be that's kind of funny. But so anyways, let's get on with the presentation here. Yeah, it's looking great for the world. If it's disclosure, I think it's going to be great for the world. Let's take a look at the USA birth chart information, guys. And most people agree July 4th, 1776 at 1710 in military time. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is the correct time for the birth chart. This time has been agreed on by a lot of astrologers. So this is kind of the chart that everybody's has a consensus on, by actual written documents from the time period of different people that were there in Philadelphia when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So that's when that is typically they think as the beginning of the United States. It's going to be a Scorpio ascendant, and Aries is the outgoing Mars energy, whereas Scorpio represents the inward type of energy. Scorpio is typically a secretive person, and they are known for their stinger. So let's go back to the chart here. I'm going to show you guys the chart. Here's the actual chart of the United States. And if this is new to you, you'll notice right away, we got the Scorpio ascendant right here. That's the first house, right? I did include the outer planets, so we do have Pluto there, we have Neptune there, and we got Uranus right here, guys. So Uranus is going to be, this one's going to be very important when we're talking about the eclipse. There's a lot of important energy there. And let me clean the chart up, because that was just a little intro there. But the Uranus thing is going to be very important, guys, because the eclipse that's happening on May 26th, it happens at 16 degrees of Scorpio. And the Uranus in the US chart, it's in Taurus, the opposite sign from Scorpio, but it's at like 18 degrees of Taurus, which is only usually in astrology, if a planet's within like 3 degrees of another planet, it's considered very significant, that it's very close by association. So as you guys can see with the chart, you know, one thing also about the chart, guys, if you'll notice, this 8th house is just full of planets right here. And you know, Scorpio is considered a very secretive house to begin with. It's the 8th house of the natural zodiac. And then it's the 8th house of the natural zodiac, right? And then Mars, the chart ruler, is in the 8th house. So think of just how many secrets is going on with the country. And then you have all this planetary energy in there. Venus, we got Jupiter, we got the sun. And all I do is I look at that, is just that house is full of so much information. Who knows, maybe this goes really deep secret societies, you know, involved in the founding, and this can mean very deep things, obviously. It goes pretty crazy there. Let's go to the presentation really quick, and we're going to switch back, guys. And again, we're going to talk about, there are 4 planets in the 8th house. Lots of energy located in the 8th house. 8th house is house of secrets. Ironically, Scorpio Lagna and Mars is in the 8th house of Gemini. First glance shows much secret information being held from the public. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Sun. Yeah, it definitely could be the deep state. So, I mean, what's really amazing when you look at the chart is from the founding of the country, there's this sense of secrecy. And we know that most of the founding fathers, George Washington and a bunch of them, they were Freemasons. And if you look at Washington, D.C., you know, they set it up basically with the cornerstones and all the geometry they used in the building in Washington, D.C. It was set up by Freemasons. The Dracos. Maybe, you know, just maybe that's what we're going to learn about. Maybe we're going to learn about the Dracos. We're going to hear some stuff that will be out of this world unbelievable. Okay, guys, one thing, we're going to look at the chart, but we're specifically going to look at, there's no Mahadashas. And I'm going to show you guys a slide. No Mahadashas for the USA chart. Mahadasha only goes for 120 years. Therefore, we have no dasha sequence to correlate what is happening. We must focus on the transits to get an idea of what is going on. Therefore, we will add outer planets Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto to our analysis. So, I mean, it was founded in 1776, so only 120 years do we have the Mahadashas for. So we're going to have to just go with the chart and look at the planetary transits to find out what's going on. What we're really thinking about, and if you've been watching my channel, a lot of you guys who are here in the live chat, is we're really trying to figure out, okay, we do feel like there's something coming. We know Saturn's going to be going retrograde May 24th. We know that Jupiter is going retrograde in June. We know that Rahu is going to be entering the nakshatra of Kritika in September. We looked at the eclipse yesterday, and we knew that there was important eclipse dates in August and September again. So there's all these things pointing to us that there's something important happening at the end of this summer, and all the evidence we're gathering with astrology is pointing to this. All right, so let's take a look, guys, at the May 26, 2021 blood moon eclipse. Eclipse at 16 degrees Scorpio. Celestial energy leaving the first house of identity. We will be learning more about the government's secrets. Natal Uranus is at 18 degrees Taurus. It is only 2 degrees from the eclipse degree on the eclipse axis, or on the nodal axis. I put the wrong word there, guys. Uranus is planet of awakening, awakening to the truth. Uranus brings shock. Uranus is innovation. Rahu amplifying cryptos, maybe? Maybe that's what it means. UFOs disclosure, entering public consciousness. And before I talk about that, we're going to look at the actual chart for a moment. And let me clean up the chart just a little bit. I'm starting to try to clean it up a little bit before we go on long rants. But you guys remember the eclipse is going to be happening, 16 degrees here. And then there's the axis of the eclipse. So it's going to be, it's going to be really affecting this house, Scorpio. It's going to be affecting Taurus. It also will be affecting, the house's 4 signs from it. 1, 2, 3. So it will be affecting Leo, Aquarius as well. I mean, it'll be squaring those houses. So if you guys have planets at 16 degrees in any of those houses, I'd really do a lot of investigation there. Now, the moon here in the US chart is not at 16 degrees. It's at 6 degrees. But, we could maybe infer that there's going to be somewhat of an effect there with the eclipse. So I see this as the South Node eclipse. We have energy leaving Scorpio. So what is going to be leaving the sign of Scorpio with this eclipse? And then we have Uranus here kind of sending this like shockwave energy through this eclipse. So that's when I really thought, obviously Scorpio already represents secrets. And we've been seeing in the mainstream media, which, you look at the media, it does represent our consciousness. It represents, what is being revealed to us in our consciousness through the mass consciousness, essentially. We've been seeing, last year we saw the Tic Tac UFO, and it was brought up, the Pentagon confirmed it. And then just recently, the Pentagon confirmed this pyramid-shaped UFOs. We're starting to see articles where they're legitimizing this whole UFO disclosure thing. And Scorpio, really what we're going to get with these secrets that we're seeing, and I'm going back here, is Scorpio, and it's the first house. Think about this is really about the identity of the country, and that Mars being in the 8th house. Like, what is going to be unveiled here? Something Uranus is like otherworldly, something from out of this world. So this is really going to be blowing the lid off of a lot of things, guys. And also with Uranus represents innovation. So that's why I think, and I did not know this prior to making this video, guys, was that with Rahu transiting Taurus, that's why we're getting the asset bubble right now. But what's causing the cryptocurrency expansion? What's causing the Ethereum price to be going above 3,300? And it's like, wow, well, Uranus really represents that new innovation, new form of awakening of new currencies. And so totally everything synchronizes, the synchronicity, again, with astrology. Even when I'm trying not to find things, I look at the chart and I find things, which is amazing. So let's go back to the presentation, guys. So this May 26, 2021 blood moon eclipse, guys, this thing's big. I think this thing's going to unleash a lot of things. And it might not be, the day of, although it could happen before. Like a month before an eclipse, things can happen. But, I'm thinking this whole summer we might be getting different nuggets of information. And here we go, guys. We are already in the eclipse time. Effects can be experienced 1 month before the eclipse or up to 6 months after the eclipse date. We will be exposed to more secrets that will awaken the public consciousness. Uranus points to shocking truths that people will find hard to accept. Yes, the truth is hard to accept if you believe we are on a lonely lump of rock floating in space. Trigger dates, August 15, 2021 and September 9, 2021. And remember, guys, your average normie out there, they're thinking that this is it. They're thinking that, you go to work, you just work till your retirement. We're alone. We're just this lonely planet, that life does not exist anywhere else. Apparently, apparently that normie view is very narcissistic because they also think we're the only ones. Don't believe that there's anything else out there. That's very stupid. Even though there's a lot of people coming out, even scientists, you can use the Drake equation and find out that the chance of extraterrestrial life is very high, actually. And guys, I brought in the trigger dates right there, August 15th, 2021 and September 9th. Remember, the first one's going to be when Mars enters Leo, and then the second one is when the Sun enters Leo. And those are going to be aspecting the eclipse degree. So we want to pay attention on those dates. Those could be times of trigger, because obviously what we're trying to do with astrology is we're trying to predict things. So I want to throw dates out there, even though it might not be the exact date. We want to throw dates on there, because then what good is astrology if we can't use dates, right? The next thing we got to look at, guys, with the USA chart is Saturn's transit in Capricorn. And remember, guys, the Saturn transit, which I've been talking about in many videos, January 23rd, 2020, that's when the beginning of this whole cerveza virus started. And then it's transiting the third house of Capricorn, communications. Saturn's trying to structure the narrative. And let me go ahead and throw the chart on for you guys really fast. So, oops, and let me get that last one away. So transiting Saturn is right here in Capricorn, guys. But notice these two other planets, these natal planets that are there. And also, by the way, guys, transiting Pluto is also in Capricorn right now. And look at what's amazing, what's going on with the US chart. We got natal Pluto and natal K2 within the third house of Capricorn. So that's what we're going to focus on a lot, especially when Saturn is going to be crossing over K2 when it's going retrograde. That's going to be something to think about. And let me go back to this really fast. So Saturn trying to structure the narrative. Obviously, third house can represent mass communications. It can represent the mass media as we know it in the United States, especially. So Saturn's transit through the third house does kind of show, government institutions trying to control the narrative of what's coming out there. And obviously, they are trying to control the narrative. And, Saturn crossing the third house could mean the narrative of fear, because Saturn is the karaka of fear. Let's go back. Saturn retrograde conjunct natal K2 on August 3rd, 2021. Again, guys, we keep seeing these dates lining up. Saturn retrograde conjunct natal K2 on August 3rd. Saturn goes over otherworldly and dissolving K2. So again, guys, we see the chart. You see that when Saturn right here goes retrograde, it already did cross over K2, but it's going to cross over K2 again. And remember, K2 is a dissolving agent. We are going to talk about the Pluto return happening in another slide. We're going to talk about that because that is a huge deal as well. And I'm going to switch slides really quick for you guys. Trying to navigate all these slides. Try to bring you guys the best, most quality presentations. K2, the beheader. So think of K2 can literally act as an agent to cut things out of someone's life scripts, but we're dealing with a country, right? However, it also represents the mysterious knowledge from other worlds and the void. It beheads the ego. That's the main job of K2, guys. Saturn will be retrograde weekend and crossing over natal K2 in the US chart. We could see some form of unrest or disorder at the end of the summer. Could the eviction moratoriums be ending around this time? So not only do I see kind of society kind of losing control a little bit with Saturn being retrograde, But then when we see Saturn's going over K2, which K2 tends to behead things or dissolve things. So K2 is going to be further weakening transiting Saturn in August when it crosses over Saturn, or when Saturn crosses over K2. And that also points to this thing to me of, because K2 does represent other worlds. It represents mysterious things. Could this also be, and it's in the third house of Capricorn, could this also be the revelations of disclosure we're talking about? And also I wrote in the slide, I said, could the eviction moratoriums be ending? Because what we're seeing is, last thing I heard was the moratoriums on the rent and the, people that rent and people that are paying mortgages, I think it's due to expire in August, I think. That was the last thing I heard about it. And let's go to the next slide, guys. The next thing we want to talk about, guys, is the Pluto return that's happening. And this is another huge deal in the United States chart. And let me check something really quick, guys. Okay. The Pluto return. United States is also having a Pluto return. Pluto entered Capricorn February 25th, 2020. It will be there until January of 2040. This is the complete restructuring of, quote unquote, the system. This is the fourth turning. We are at the beginning stages of this societal revolution. We are being given the choice of the old system or the new earth. One of my subscribers brought up in one of the previous videos in the live chat is he brought up Cash. He brought up the fourth turning. And I just watched some YouTube videos all about this book that I think was put out in the late 90s. And it's called The Fourth Turning. But the fourth turning talks about we're in the last stage of these 80-year cycles that have been going. And it repeats all throughout United States history. There's these 80-year cycles. The beginning of the current cycle that we're in, basically the Renaissance happened right after World War II ended. That was when things were good. And then it went through different 20-year phases. And we're at that last phase, which is slated to end in 2030, where there's a complete cultural revolution. And it's actually a period of crisis where there's some sort of crisis that unfolds, that basically the light warriors, you and I, have to come out and we have to fix the situation because things get messed up before we have our next golden age. And that's what I see with the Pluto return that's happening, guys. This societal restructuring, even though I'm hoping it happens earlier, in the book, The Fourth Turning, it talks about it not ending till 2030. And then we know the Pluto return, Pluto doesn't leave Capricorn till 2040. So we have to think long term on this thing. There might be many more crises that come as we're going through all these periods. And I noticed some of you guys had some questions. How will that affect people who are the sign of Capricorn? Well, okay, so like with Saturn now with Pluto, with people that are Capricorn, with Saturn being there, Saturn's actually going to put some, and Pluto being there, really there is a call for people that would have Capricorn ascendant to have, they're going to have a forced change of identity, especially with Pluto being there. With Saturn being there, usually that means there's some social judgment on the personality or the identity of the individual. When Saturn's crossing the ascendant, it can be a tough time. It could also be that, things are forced on you. Maybe you're forced to take a job you don't want. Maybe Saturn crossing the first house can even send you into a forced marriage because it's aspecting the seventh house. Things like that. Mars and Cap. Oh, most probably. I'm reading the comments, guys. I do find it coincidental that a new branch of government called Space Force was recently created. Yes, I mean, everything's kind of pointing to this disclosure that's going to happen. Let's see, ending in August. Yep. So the rent moratoriums and all those moratoriums are ending in August, and now we're seeing all this planetary energy. We're seeing Saturn's going to be going retrograde throughout the summer. We're seeing the eclipse is happening in May. By the way, the solar eclipse, this is one thing I wanted to tell you guys. The solar eclipse to me doesn't seem as powerful this time around. It's a partial solar eclipse. Usually when you have a partial solar eclipse, they're not as powerful as if you had a full solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse we're having is a full lunar eclipse, so I'm spending a little more energy talking about the lunar eclipse as opposed to the solar eclipse that's going to be happening on June 10th. I will make a separate video about the solar eclipse, but I think this lunar eclipse is going to be more of the issues that are happening, or what are causing events in our reality. So let's go to this slide, guys. And I think I only have a couple more slides in this thing. This is about, this Pluto return is about us. It's the old Earth versus the new Earth, guys. So the old Earth, it represents separation, isolation, top-down pyramid, authority structures, obey, nihilism, what's the point? And a famous quote, a motto for this time could be life sucks, then you die, would be the motto. And debt slaves. Doesn't sound like a great reality to me, guys. And what we're going to be trying to transform through the fourth turning is getting over to the new Earth, the age of Aquarius, where there's unity, togetherness. We're all connected. We all rise together. Consciousness grows and empathy grows. We outgrow the old survival mentalities. Life isn't simply about the nest egg. It is about living your fullest expression and developing your divine gifts. So the new Earth is where we want to go through this. We don't want to keep the old garbage, the old system. So hopefully, and it's up to us, guys. There's a lot of metaphysical teachers out there, especially New Age teachers. They're talking about right now, we're in this time of this timeline split. And this isn't really anything I can prove with astrology, but it makes sense to me that we're in this timeline split where there's the 3D Earth and the 5D Earth. And if you guys read Dolores Cannon books, she talks about this. And right now there's a split happening. The people that want to stay on that old paradigm, they're going to go off into some other Earth. And the people that are really wanting this age of Aquarius, they're going to split off on another Earth through shifting realities. And this all gets into, shifting realities and using our consciousness to shift to realities that we want to be in versus the old realities. Let me check, guys, if you guys have any questions. So far, it's been a good. I didn't realize that I could talk so long on this. So I didn't do a full reading of the USA chart. I really wanted to take a look at events. So yes, are we seeing that there could be a really bad shoe that drops with the moratoriums and a homelessness crisis or something like that? I would say definitely yes. Are we looking at, we need New Earth yesterday. The polarization is getting to be a bit much. Oh yeah, for sure. You know what I'm thinking too? What's really interesting is there's a lot of problems happening, not just in the US, but in the whole world right now with what I'm calling the cerveza virus. And, how we're changing to it. So it almost makes me wonder if problems are going to get really bad, especially with the moratorium, the eviction moratoriums ending. And if we have problems with a lot of homelessness, it does make me wonder if all of a sudden they might pull out the disclosure thing, just kind of like, a magician when they're pulling out something over here, like, hey, focus over here while people are suffering, over here, as almost kind of like a way to just distract us from the really bad junk that's really going on. So I also kind of have that feeling that, this disclosure might be true, but they're kind of choosing this very convenient time when they can distract people to focus on this thing versus, really fixing the problems that we have as a country, as a world right now. It is very interesting. So yeah, guys, I think we have a summer ahead of us. It looks like, it looks like, this lunar eclipse happening at the end of May is kind of going to kick off. I do feel like when I'm looking at all the transits and looking at all of what's going on, it really feels like it's kind of like the kickoff event, for what we're going to see happening towards the end of summer and last quarter of 2021. So it could be the asset bubble pop. Yeah, they are trying to distract us. Yeah, and it could be they're trying to distract us because things are just going to get so bad. Let me see if there's any other questions in the chat. So I hope that it's bringing you guys more. I hope that even though this is kind of a fearful thing because it's fear. I mean, with Saturn crossing the third house of the U.S. chart, I mean, it does show that the communications to us are very fear-based. And we know that what we're shifting to in this new age is not going to be fear-based anymore. So they're trying to keep us, like, really it is important, like, turn off those TVs and don't go into the fear. We need to get ourselves ready for the new energies coming. Renee, thank you very much. Absolutely. I think one of the things when you guys want to raise your vibration and your consciousness is, turning off. Oh my gosh, when I see the news or, I turn on the news and there's an anchor up there, and I'm just using NBC as an example or, one of the networks. And you see this person, they look totally plastic looking and they have this serious look on their face and they're reading a teleprompter and it's all about how bad things are. It's just, man, we got to really shut these things off and really start coming together as a world and uniting and really getting our energies higher. And so things like this, coming together with these videos and, especially guys, with Vedic astrology is what I practice and what I teach. But, going within, right now is an important time for all of you guys to start your meditation practice, to start going within, to start raising your vibration, eating healthy food, drinking a lot of water and things like that. Because I do feel like there is this energetic split happening, where, there's the people that they're choosing one side, they're choosing the old fearful and they want to stay in that paradigm. And then there's us that are wanting to go on the new paradigm and we're moving forward. So, we got to get on the right train here. If there's any questions, guys, in the chat or anything, I'm very thankful that you guys all came to this wonderful live stream. Please let me know if you guys have any questions about what's going on. But disclosure could be happening. Most people don't care about astrology. What comes to their minds is the horoscope. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The horoscopes, and usually kind of in, people like horoscopes in a gossip type of way. Like, am I going to meet my crush today? That's what people mostly do with horoscopes. So we've been kind of trained to use horoscopes. Like, they used to have horoscopes in newspaper and stuff like that. I kind of consider the newspaper a thing of the past now, but that's what most people think of astrology now. But, really with this science of light and astrology, what we're doing is this is just one field of what a light worker can do is astrology. There's so many different branches of what everyone, you have your gifts, your own unique gifts, and you can go out there and start sharing those gifts with others. And that's really how we're going to be using this fourth turning to our advantage, is all of us using our gifts, especially, our gifts that are given to us by the source. God, if you want to say it. I know God is kind of a loaded term for a lot of people, so I like using the source because sometimes a lot of people have a lot of programming about this, fearful God and whatnot. So guys, I think that's going to be it for my presentation today. Thank you guys for coming and seeing the presentation. And many blessings to you guys. I will see you in the next one. I think my next live stream will be on Thursday at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Friday. It's going to be on Friday, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to take a day off tomorrow. But please, guys, check out my website or hit me up on YouTube, and I'll be more than happy. Thank you guys so much for coming. Namaste, and I'll see you guys in the next one.